Are we the baddies? This video contains spoilers for Exandria Unlimited Calamity Episode 2. Hello everybody, my name is Luna and welcome to Crit Role Conspiracies, the show where we talk about all the wild and wacky theories that critters have about Critical Role. This week we see how deep the depths of corruption go in the Ring of Brass. But first, Sam's tribute to Aimee this week. We immediately return to Cerrit after the vision he had in the mirror of Vespin Chloris, and he begins to investigate the Hodmedod that de-animated at the party when Patia heard Gordranus. The Hodmedod's engine is missing. There is nothing to make it go, and if the engine is not here, then where is it? Next, Cerrit investigates the corpse of the invisible assailant and finds that its body is covered in infernal runes, and it has these growths and tumors kind of growing inside its throat. We later learn when the party investigates this room that this man was essentially a puppet, an infernal puppet that had been gifted powers, much in the same way a cleric is, only 2 weeks earlier, and that these powers had been gifted without any thought or regard for whether this man was physically or mentally or emotionally capable of wielding such power, which is why he had all of these tumors. It was kind of a manifestation of this power given irresponsibly. 2 weeks ago, huh? Well, we're going to be hearing a lot of things that happened mysteriously 2 weeks ago. If you recall, Vespin Chloris went missing and has believed to attempt a ritual of ascension 2 weeks ago, but of course, we know that's not true. Now, the Betrayer Gods were not able to give out powers while they were locked away in the prison plane, so this lends even more evidence to the party's belief that one or more, it's actually all of them, Betrayer Gods have been released by Vespin Chloris. For a wholesome change of pace, Cerrit is interrupted by essentially an arcane phone call on his sending stone.
This is Talon to Wingspan. Talon to Wingspan.
Yes.
I am in position, and I am reporting that Egghead is preparing to break curfew and sneak out of the house to go to a party. And you said that she's not allowed to leave, but she's about to leave, and she has no idea that I'm here. She has no idea that I can see her. She's about to do it.
Oh my god!
This is Carl.
This is your son, Kier.
Yeah.
This is your son, Kier. He's using code names for
Talon,
you, himself, and your daughter that you have never heard before. They change a lot. The code names change a lot depending on what he thinks is cooler that week. And you are standing in a room with a dead body listening to your son describe your daughter about to head out.
This family is going to emotionally devastate me. I also loved this little line from Luis.
This kid is way cooler than my kid.
We cut back to Zerxus and Loquacious, who roll insight checks after their conversation with Purvon, the champion of the Raven Queen. Loquacious picks up that Purvon was concealing a lack of information rather than hiding any secrets. It looks like Purvon and his patron, the Raven Queen, are in the dark about what is happening on Exandria. Next, we zip over to a warehouse of the Golden Scythe with Nidus, who is requesting from Alessander 4 automatons. Alessander says, that's actually not possible. It's the eve of the replenishment. They're all being used. So Nidus decides instead that he is going to use automatons that have been built specifically for the city. Alessander says they have been built for the trials and they are not to be used for other purposes. But Nidus is insistent and takes 4 of these taxmen, as they're called.
Massive steel constructs. Step up. They look brutish and hulking, but you know that the engines that power their cognition, not sentient, but their perception, their reflexes, their instincts, their ability to follow out complex will. It's top of the line and state of the art. Another testament to your genius. And those blades on their back, sheathed. You know what those can do too.
So what do you think these are supposed to be used for? Is it some kind of gladiatorial battle, which the trials are? Is it for law and justice enforcement? Whatever it is, I have a feeling that those swords on the back mean it is not for something good. The automatons are transported with Nidus to the Meridian Labyrinth via a teleportation circle, which are operated by porters. Alessander asks Nidus, oh, hey, should I put this porter on Patia's list of people whose memory needs wiping? There's a list! The way this exchange happened, it felt very much just like run-of-the-mill, and this is just how business is done here. It's part of what they're doing.
Are we the baddies?
This gave me a lot of vibes of like Tony Stark with Ultron. A very rich, very wealthy, very intelligent man who is blinded by his own genius, who is not ready to see what is there right in front of his face until it's too late. And speaking of geniuses, we head over to the heart of Avalier, where Laerryn is beholding her new spell engine, the Astral Laerryn. This engine is connected to the rudder of Avalier, the thing that steers the ship around as it flies through the sky. But that's not the only thing in this room. There is also a locket that was given to Laerryn by her good friend Evandrin, who, if you recall, is Zerxus' husband, to signify their friendship.
What do you remember of your old friend Evandrin as you look at this locket?
Despite the sort of suffusion of warm memories and good feelings that attended him handing me that locket, all she can remember is those last few days before everything broke bad, and the panic of not knowing how to help him and not knowing how responsible she was as he began to fade. So it's that burst of joy and then the creeping guilt.
The memory of your friend becoming translucent, incorporeal, and fading, such that when the time came to inter, there were no remains.
What do you think happened to Evandrin? Why did he fade away? So many questions. Nidus arrives with the automatons and Laerryn tells him that it needs to happen now. The thing that they're doing needs to happen now. She has something to prove. It is almost the apogee solstice, so this is the moment when it must be done. And even though she'll be alive, she is not willing to wait another 120 years. The bow made of celestial gold that was taken from Vespin's sanctum is placed within the engine, and it is powered up, and it starts spinning and revealing the fabric of the cosmos.
I think Nidus just hands tears falling down his face. It's beautiful! It's truly incredible!
Laerryn has been successful in her quest. She has turned the entire city of Avalier into a spelljammer. A spelljammer in D&D is a ship that can fly through space and through the planes, and she's done it to an entire city. A bunch of you predicted this in my comments section last week, so well done to you. It took 8% of the city's energy to just send a little toy ship into another plane, so it's probably going to take quite a lot of energy to send the entire city. And for some reason, when this machine was powered up, a bunch of energy was sucked up, not by the Astral Laerryn, but by the Arboreal Caelix, another spell engine located here in the heart of Avalier. Okay, the Arboreal Caelix. What is it? What's it doing here? What is up with it? Here's what we know so far. Firstly, it stores magical energy which is used during the replenishment. The city is required to give 25% of its energy back into the land during the replenishment, and this amount was agreed upon in something called the Drashari Pact, which was a pact between the Galdrashari, the druids who lived in Turamunda, which was the name of the city before it split into Avalier, the flying city, and Cathmoira, the city on the ground, and the wizards who wanted to lift Avalier into the sky. The druids were really super duper not keen on their mountain being turned into a flying city, but because of this agreement of bringing 25% of magical energy back, they agreed to it. Now, this agreement was updated around about 120 years ago, which was about the time that the Raven Queen first ascended. So for some reason, they updated the pact at around about this time, and this is when the Arboreal Caelix was built, about 120 years ago. It wasn't always here. It was built around something called the Tree of Names, but we're going to get to that in a moment. Okay, so the Arboreal Caelix sucked up a lot of energy, and Laerryn was not very happy about that because she needs as much energy as possible if she is going to sail the Astral Sea and travel through different dimensions. She decides that she needs to speak with someone at the Magisterium because they are the ones who are in charge of the laws, and the Drashari Pact is kind of their domain. But before we do that, Zerxus shows up at the heart of Avalier, and this is when we find out that all of the party have not been involved in this little secret pet project. Zerxus was completely unaware, and almost the whole case was almost busted wide open by Obria rolling a natural 1 deception check, but then Lou Wilson comes rolling in with a 30 deception check to really just throw Zerxus off the pace. Zerxus does notice, however, that Laerryn has been crying and that she looks rather emotional, and he reassures her.
I approach Laerryn and I just, I kind of catch the little bit that you have missed. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I'm here for you, no matter what you need.
Thank you. I need to talk to you.
Let's get everybody together. There's a lot to talk about, and we're running out of time.
Laerryn. Another first knight of Avalier in this very chamber once told you, I'm here for you no matter what you need.
Yeah.
Brutal! I don't know what's going on there, but it's dramatic and messy, and I love it. Everyone reconvenes at the party, and it's about 10 p.m, so time's ticking along. Laerryn shares her success with the Astral Layrite with the rest of the group, and Loquacious asks the question, which is also in my mind, of why?
Imagine the immense amount of resources, knowledge, power, progression. We are simply limited here. The only thing that makes the gods what they are is that they have access to a whole nother realm of arcane potential. I have it on good authority that Aor is working on a weapon, something deeply destructive. I will not allow them to supersede us in any way.
Are we the baddies?
The anti-god sentiment runs deep in Avalier, and it's very apparent in this group that they don't really hold much stock with the gods. The only exception potentially to this that we haven't really discussed yet is that Loquacious has levels of Warlock, and we don't know who that patron is. A Warlock patron doesn't necessarily have to be a god, it can be some other kind of power, but I would be very curious to know who it is and how the party might react to finding out that Loquacious is getting powers from an outside source, since that doesn't really gel with the whole progress, kind of mortals doing it for themselves attitude that Avalier has. So it is in this little rendezvous that we learn that Patia, Laerryn, and Nidus were the 3 who were in on this little Astral Layrite project, and Cerrit, Zerxus, and Loquacious were left in the dark. Loquacious is actually quite annoyed at having been left in the dark and sort of says to Laerryn, "You don't know what secrets I've kept for you, and now you're keeping these secrets from me." The secrets that he's been keeping, I believe, relate to Evandrin and what really happened to him and how Laerryn was involved. What do you think? Any other secrets out there that you can think of? Any skeletons floating around in these closets? I feel like every single closet of every single character is just like you open it and just skeletons pile out. The party have 24 hours or so before the apogee solstice, so they kind of need to hustle a little bit. And speaking of apogee solstices, we find out that Patia first learnt about them from the Raven Queen herself. Yes, as a child, she met the Raven Queen just a few years before she ascended. The fact that there is a player character in a game that has met the Raven Queen before she became a god is it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit, to be honest. Patia investigates how this infernal puppet, this invisible assailant that attacked Cerrit, got into her home in the first place using Arcane smart home technology. She discovers that the man likely disguised himself as a Hodmadod and then waited in the room ready for a moment to strike. This Hodmadod arrived with Dean Laerryn Hollow. Dean Hollow being the person who invited Purvon Soul to the party, which at the time was very strange because she showed a lot of disdain for him and a lot of disdain for the gods. But as we find out later, she brought him to the party so that she could try and make an attempt on his life or some other such nefarious thing. Patia investigates a present bought by Dean Hollow, and it is a vial of clear liquid.
When the time comes, this will be the easier way out. All things end. Lives, stories, even ages.
What?
Do you read that out loud? Because I am for sure opening other gifts.
I don't read it out loud. I fold it, and I just make eye contact with Laerryn. We have enough of a bond that you just see me look at you.
Necromancers have such a penchant for the dramatic.
So poetic.
Ooh, that's ice cold. I like that. It's very dramatic. It's good. The Dean has a ring of mind shielding on, which stops Patia from being able to scry on her, but they are able to talk to Laerryn's assistant Madara, who spent a lot of the night talking to Dean Hollow. Madara witnessed Dean Hollow turning invisible and following Purvon out of the room, and if Loquacious and Zerxus had not chased after him, something pretty bad could have gone down. Not really sure how Matt Mercer would have dealt with Purvon being killed at this moment in time. Madara's memory was wiped by Magister Cormorant, implicating yet another person in this conspiracy. Patia and Laerryn dismiss Madara very harshly.
I might have to admit that I was needlessly harsh to a subordinate.
No. Her dress was atrocious. Did you see that?
It was bad, and honestly, if you can get a modify memory it's cast on you, what kind of wizard are you anyway?
She should be more careful.
Truly.
She deserves the night off.
Give me...
Make up with her tomorrow, I'm sure.
Are we the baddies?
The party split ways to try and follow up some of the leads they've gotten. First, at the Herald's Tome, Cerrit and Loquacious are looking for any records relating to Vespin Chloris. They find a file of interviews and things from a reporter called Elena Tavernus, who Loquacious says he dismissed a number of years ago. These records contain interviews and things like that with Vespin, and there's also a particular interview which is with another person, like a cleric or something. And in the background, Vespin is having a conversation with Dean Laerryn Hollow and Loris of the Weaver's Mask. So Loris is an apprentice to Eldamir the Wise, so he is very high up on the social strata. In this recording, Vespin mentioned how the Tree of Names is within Avalier. Now, we don't know very much about what this tree is. What we do know is that the Arboreal Caelix was built around it about 120 years ago, but prior to that, it stood alone. Potentially, it was harvesting and catching energy without the help of a spell engine. We also know that the Galdrashari were scared that the Wizards of Avalier were going to find something out about the tree and then use it detrimentally. We find this out from a letter in Magister Cormorant's office. So let me know what you think about this tree. I'm wondering if somehow it is, yes, connected to harvesting magical energy. The fact that it's called the Tree of Names is strange, perhaps something to do with naming the betrayer gods or naming the deities. Or it could be about maintaining the balance of magic that the Galdrashari seem to be interested in, maintaining sort of the magic and how it flows throughout the land. It also might be connected to Evandrin and how he faded away, and Zerxus certainly seems to think so after connecting it with the tree that he saw in his dream with the betrayer god and with his husband. Abria's face during this scene. She knows something. She knows something that she's not telling us. And on the note of Evandrin, Cerrit also finds a file of Elena's labeled Evandrin Altera, but the file is completely empty. There are no records in there whatsoever. But if he was hoping to get a straight answer from Loquacious, he did not get it because Loquacious rolled a 30 deception checks. So many really high deception checks this game. Personally, I believe that Loquacious has destroyed these records because they likely point to what happened to Evandrin and how Laerryn, his ex-wife, was involved. To the Magisterium! Patia and Laerryn smash through the door of Magister Cormorant's office using an animated statue that Laerryn creates, immediately getting roll for initiative. And then immediately the fight is done in less than a round when they manage to burn him and smash him to death.
Hello, yes, Brassring. We accidentally killed the Magister.
It wasn't
Which Magister?
Cormorant.
Wait, were you able to speak to him?
Yeah, get meaningful information and intel out of him?
That's what Zerxus is for. Zerxus?
Did you kill him or just knock him unconscious?
No, he's dead.
Okay.
Here we go.
Look, I can cast mending on his chest.
I've tried that once, it doesn't work.
Are we the baddies?
Patia investigates the office with detect magic and learns that the teleportation circles here have been tampered with. There have been infernal runes added, and it seems like the Magister was bringing people into the city. Most likely people like the assailant that attacked Cerrit. The Magister has been investigating the Arboreal Caelix as well, which is where we get a lot of the information about the tree and the engine that I talked about earlier. To the Hall of Prophecy! Nidus and Zerxus are here to follow up on the unusual news that the Hall of Prophecy has been closed for the last 2 weeks. And we learned from an attendant called Sapphira that the hall was closed on the orders of Loris. Yet another link to Loris in this conspiracy. The reason the hall was closed was because all of the oracles started going mad about 2 weeks ago, making prophecies that couldn't possibly be true. Prophecies like this one.
Stars are leaving us. Our hands cannot reach the limbs of the tree, can no longer scribe the name of our deliverance. We will soon be as broken as our promises. Avalier shall fall, all shall fall. And from our folly will the hands that forged the world banish themselves from the broken things they have made.
Yeah, that's definitely not gonna come true, right? Everything's gonna be fine, right? Another odd happening at the hall is that Velusia, who was the apprentice we heard about last episode, who was supposedly retiring, it turns out that she actually renounced magic altogether after an argument with Loris, stating if the gifts that they are giving us harm us, then we should not accept them. Gifts from who? From the Betrayer gods, perhaps? Let me know your thoughts. With another sweet deception check, Nidus and Zerxus are admitted into the hall, and Sapphira takes them to meet Carwyn, the oracle who first went mad. On the way to her room, they pass by like a washroom with basins and mirrors, and all of the mirrors are cracked. No, Brennan Lee Mulligan, what is it with him and mirrors? Why does he have to make mirrors always so creepy?
I am your romance partner, Baron.
Carwyn is asleep and she has been contained in a magic circle of some kind. Zerxus walks around the bed and by a water feature, and looking into the water.
Activate your divine sense. You've never detected anything fiendish before. Or at least, maybe you thought you did, but it was nothing compared to this. It was nothing compared to this. In the reflection of the bed, in the wall of water coming down the dark stone, lights reflecting, Carwyn is not in the bed. You see a horned figure in red, bleeding and dying in the bed. The last time you saw this figure was the size of a mountain.
Zerxus practically dives through that portal or dimension or whatever it was to talk with Asmodeus, who gives him essentially a sob story about how the prime deities took everything for themselves and there wasn't really anything left, so he had to take the hells, and how he created the gifts of deceit and cruelty and viciousness to act as a counterpoint to the gifts of love and goodness and justice, which would make those gifts mean more. But the whole time that he is telling this story, not only is he he weaving a tale that makes me feel very suspicious? But he is doing it wearing the face of Evandrin, because he says, oh, it's not me, I don't do it, I just happen to take the form of whatever the person I'm talking to finds the most beautiful. I am not buying it. We need to remember who we are dealing with. This is the Lord of Lies. This is a master manipulator. This is literally what he does. He is just ready to scoop up an angry and disenchanted paladin like Zerxus, ready to tell him whatever he needs to hear to bring him on side and make him do his bidding. I mean, by the end of the scene, Zerxus is basically sworn an oath to a betrayer god.
Are we the baddies?
I just want to particularly point out this moment where Asmodeus called Dominus, the continent that Avalier is from, the smile of Exandria, and just the way he said it just gave me the heebie-jeebies. And I think that Dominus ends up becoming the Shattered Teeth. The Shattered Teeth are a group of islands, I think it's something like 40 islands, south of Tal'Dorei. I have a feeling that during the Calamity, this continent, Dominus, which I don't think we've heard of before in Critical Role history and other content, gets smashed into smithereens and becomes the Shattered Teeth. Now, this comment said last week that I think we're seeing the stage being set for Zerxus to have a fall and end up working for Asmodeus. Well, I think we've pretty much just seen that play out here this week. Honestly, I don't think it's that he fell this week. I think he's been fallen for a while. He has been angry since the death of his husband, and he hasn't really had anywhere to put all of those feelings, and all of a sudden there's this wonderfully convenient place to put them. We've seen some speculation about whether the Zerxus was getting his paladin powers from a betrayer god, since Brennan basically said the betrayer gods were not able to gift out those powers whilst they were in the prison plane. I think we know that that is not true now. Like, he was drawing his paladin powers from the city, or I mean, I guess maybe from another god that we don't know about, but otherwise probably drawing them from the city. But now it seems like we're going to get a paladin of Asmodeus now. But wait, there's more! It's currently 1 a.m. and Laerryn gets a call from the helmswoman of Avalier saying basically like, we're in position, we're ready to start descending, everything's going, and then just starts choking partway through the message, and the message cuts off. They all converge on the helm, and as they do so, they are confronted by none other than Dean Lycretia Hollow. Roll initiative! I'm very excited to see some combat since we got such a quick combat this round. I'm hoping for a big, powerful, awesome fight next week. And I can't wait to see how all of these characters themselves contribute to the Calamity. As always, get in the comments, let me know your theories and ideas about where this series is going. We only have 2 episodes left. I'd like to say a special thank you to my patrons and to my YouTube members. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so at all of the links in the description below. And if you want somewhere to chat Critical Role theories with other critters, jump into my Discord. It's a good time. We've got great places where people are constantly talking about lore and history and all the cool, fun, nerdy stuff. And thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. We just hit that milestone. I really appreciate all of you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, bye!
And that's all for this episode of Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Tune in next week. And we'll see.
We're gonna kill this one. We're gonna kill this one.
What did you do? What did you do?
What is happening?
I don't know.
I spent the whole time going like, oh no, maybe I'm the one that caused it. You did it!
Amazing.
We can all take turns causing the apocalypse together.
Exactly. We all had a hand in
did.
this crucifixion.
I remember, is it Thursday?
Is it Thursday yet? Huh. It's Thursday now, but now it's going to be the next Thursday is the next show, and we want to know if it's Thursday yet.